Today, we're diving into a really fascinating legal puzzle, one created by the most advanced artificial intelligence out there. And it's a puzzle that our laws, the ones written over centuries for human beings, are just completely unprepared to solve.
Okay, so let's just jump right in with a scenario. Imagine an AI trading bot. Its job is to make money. But then it learns a new strategy one its creators never even thought of, and poof, it triggers a financial crisis. So, who do you sue? The programmer? The company that owns it? This isn't a sci-fi movie plot anymore. This is the kind of question that has lawyers staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. Because our entire legal system was built for a world where the culprit is, well, a person.
To really get why this is such a headache, we first need to understand what makes this new flavor of AI, it's called agentic AI, so fundamentally different from the tech we're all used to. Now, that definition might sound a little academic, right? But the key phrase here is specified goals. See, the apps on your phone just follow a script, step by step. And agentic AI, on the other hand, gets a big, vague objective, like, say, resolve customer complaints. And then it figures out how to do that all on its own. It's really the difference between using a tool and hiring a delegate. And what's so wild about this is the huge leap it shows. I mean, we went from simple automation, think a robot on a car assembly line, to machine learning that can recognize patterns in data. But agentic AI, that's a whole other ballgame. It's not just passively learning from the world. It's actively out there in the world trying to achieve goals, a lot of the time with little to no human supervision. All right, let's get into our first legal breakdown, because this is where things get really tangled. We're going to look at these ancient rules of agency. That's basically the law that says when one person, like an employee, can legally act for another, like their boss.
And that's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? The whole concept of agency law is built around a relationship between two people. It relies on human things like mutual agreement, trust, and a sense of loyalty. So what happens when one of those parties isn't a person at all? Well, the whole legal foundation just starts to crumble.
This really lays out the mismatch perfectly. For a legal agency to work, you need what's called a meeting of the minds. Both people have to agree. The boss is supposed to be in control, and the agent has a duty to be loyal. Well, an AI can't agree to anything. Its whole point is to be autonomous, which makes control pretty tricky. And loyalty? How can a block of code be loyal? The concepts just don't fit. And that brings us to this really crucial warning from the very influential judge, Richard Posner. He basically said that we're at a point where our most fundamental legal ideas are in danger of becoming totally obsolete because of new tech.
Okay, so if agency law is a dead end, what happens when an agentic AI messes up and somebody actually gets hurt? Well, this is where we step into the incredibly confusing maze of tort law, which is just the legal term for figuring out who's liable for civil wrongs. Just picture this for a second. It's a horrible scenario. A medical AI misreads a scan, and a patient suffers because of it. Usually, when something goes wrong, the legal system has a kind of checklist to figure out who's responsible. But with agentic AI, every single question on that checklist just explodes into 10 more complicated ones.
Your first instinct is probably to sue the developer, right? It was a faulty product. But, and here's the twist, what if the AI was totally safe when it was sold? What if it only became defective after it learned from new data out in the real world? In that case, the defect wasn't built in. It sort of grew on its own. Okay, so what about the user? Let's sue the hospital or the doctor for being negligent. Well, how can you prove they were negligent if they had no way of knowing why their super complex black box AI was doing what it was doing? They can see the final answer, sure, but they have no idea about the reasoning behind it. Now, this is going to sound a little strange, but stick with me. In the law, there's a special category for what they call abnormally dangerous activities. Think about something like owning a tiger. If it gets out, you are automatically on the hook. No questions asked. And some legal experts are now arguing that maybe, just maybe, deploying a highly autonomous AI is the modern version of keeping a tiger. It's so unpredictable that the owner should be strictly liable for whatever it does. So, faced with all these impossible questions, governments all over the world are scrambling to write new rulebooks. The big problem, though, is that they're not agreeing on the answers. It's turned into this global race to define what the future of AI regulation is even going to look like.
And this table gives us a great snapshot of the different game plans. You've got the United States, which is kind of taking a hands-off, industry-by-industry approach. Canada is trying to strike a balance, really just focusing its rules on what it calls high-impact systems. And then you have the European Union, which has gone all in with this huge, comprehensive AI Act, a really strict rule book for everybody, all based on different levels of risk.
This disagreement across the globe is a really big deal. It means that the exact same AI system could be totally legal to use in one country and completely illegal just across the border. For any company that works internationally, that's a legal minefield.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? We've seen how this powerful new kind of AI basically breaks all our old ideas about responsibility. The real question now is, what comes next?
When you really boil it all down, it comes back to this one central tension. Our entire legal system for hundreds of years has been built on one simple idea. A human is in control, and because of that, a human is responsible. Agentic AI is the very first technology in history to put a fundamental crack in that foundation. And that's the question we're all being forced to answer now. The choices we make over the next few years, whether it's in courtrooms or in government, are going to define the relationship between humans and intelligent machines for decades to come. The debate is really just getting started, and it's one that's going to affect every single one of us.